With Man City breathing down our neck, Arsenal dropped yet more points on Sunday, drawing 2-2 as our title race took a hammer blow at the London Stadium. Hammer blow? Get it? Just trying to lighten the mood. As panic sets in that our title dreams might soon be over, fans are calling for all sorts of solutions to try and change our fortunes. But before you find the solution, you need to identify the problem. Arsenal's success this season has been due in no small part to our elite pressing structure and build-up structure. There's much more to it, but the key focus point for now, and where I think we need to improve, is to do with our line height, which affects our attacking and defensive distances. When you play here on the pitch, as opposed to here, you compress the space you're asking your players to play in. That means you force opposition teams back, squeeze them so they can't get out, and close the distances between your attacking players so they're closer together for combinations and pattern play, making it more effective. To make that happen though, you need big space defenders, good technicians who don't lose the ball. You need athletes. You need guys who are comfortable sitting here on the pitch and build up, knowing they have the pace, power, ability 1v1, delaying and recovery ability to snuff out any balls into the space you've now left in behind, helped by a strong starting position from the goalkeeper. There's a reason, as pointed out by Read the Game on Twitter, that Arteta has spent 42% of his budget on defenders in his time at the club. Centre-back is such an important position to recruit well in, of course, at all times, but that's especially true in the modern game, as most modern progressive managers know that their defenders having those qualities is the bedrock on which their football can take shape. I imagine many modern defenders would have probably been profiled as midfielders in the 2000s. Against West Ham, Arsenal's defensive line was almost 20 metres lower than it was in the reverse fixture, according to Mark R Stats on Twitter. And you can see that playing out in the passing networks too. That means we were playing in different areas of the pitch, we had less control, created less chances, and the game became a basketball match of fine margins. Our attacking players saw themselves isolated from each other, miles apart. So how did that happen? There's a number of reasons, but realistically, the main one is Rob Holding. I'm not trying to be critical, he just isn't the profile of defender that I outlined. He's not as athletic, he allows his runners to exploit space, as we saw with Antonio in this game, and he's not good at getting touch tight, as we saw with Son at the end of last season. He delays his actions in possession, taking extra touches when the pass is on, and he also consistently tries long balls over the top towards our wingers, probably because that's an easier ball to play than between the lines. He also often hoofs it clear when under pressure, which just invites more pressure because you're giving it back to them. That isn't Rob Holding's fault, per se. He has other qualities. He just shouldn't be in this position playing this type of football. We know what type of defender he is, we know what he does and doesn't like doing. However, he did have a poor game even in the areas where we'd expect him to excel, like duels, where he lost all 5 of his ground and aerial duels. He is a better player than he showed on Sunday. I don't see the point in bashing him, though I do understand the frustrations on both sides of the argument. There's those who urge other fans to support our players, and those who feel it's fair to criticise. I just think, why bother talking about it? We're asking a Range Rover to perform like a Ferrari. There's no point. Let's focus on solutions. I think the problem I outlined leads to their penalty too. The brilliant George Voutsas, who appears on our Different Knock Arsenal podcast, pointed out that Thomas Partey is receiving the ball here with absolutely no one within a 10-mile radius. He should do better, sure, but Rice controls it with his arm. I don't think it's a penalty, and you can't help but feel that Zinchenko might be here and able to step in and delay Rice in another situation had he been available, and we might be 20 metres further up to start with. However, Holding isn't the only problem. I also think some other players need to take some of the blame, and I think Mikel is partly responsible. Jesus, for me, was dropping too deep. I say deep, he was just everywhere. While I loved it at 2-0 up, he was playing like he was in the schoolyard. Because the build-up isn't as fluid, I understand he wants to receive to feet and involve himself, but when you pick it up in the midfield and turn as the number 9, there's no outlet ahead of you who can make the centre-backs and the lines move around. For me, he needed a bit more positional discipline. I also felt Arteta was too slow to react. It was clear to me from about 30 minutes in that something needed to change, but he waited until the 67th minute to make the first substitution. I love how much Arteta sticks to principle and trusts his players, but there's times where I wish he was more proactive when it's clear those on the pitch on the day don't have the solutions. I wonder if the new style of 9 I mentioned in this video might have given us something different in this game. If you want to know what I think might be the possible solutions to this from a personnel and tactics perspective, then you can check out the bonus content to this video on Patreon or by becoming a member on this channel by clicking join to get that and loads of other benefits. People ask Arsenal to kill the game and not get too cocky. Maybe it is that, maybe it isn't. I think there's probably a little bit of truth in all of the mental narrative stuff we've seen, but you physically can't kill and control a game when you can't play in the areas that you want. That is the crux of the problem. Once West Ham found some shape after some dreadful early defending, with a bit of luck on their side with the Saka miss, the game got away from us because we couldn't control it and our principles went out the window. And I think they know that. The reality is, we've been hit by injuries at the worst possible time. In fact, I'm not sure there was a worse time or position on the pitch for this to happen in, considering its importance to Arsenal's play and what's given us the edge. I also don't think it's fair to say we haven't built the squad properly. Arteta has signed White, Tomiyasu, brought in Saliba, and promoted Reuell Walters in the last 2 years. What more can he do in that position? Asking someone who is ostensibly our 5th choice right back to come in and do a job he isn't suited for in a title race. But that's football. So, what can we do now? To me, it's simple. Arteta needs to find a solution to the problem that I outlined. We cannot go into City if we will be without Saliba, with Holding, and try and control the match without the capacity to control territory. I'm not saying we can't win, I'm just saying that we won't see the level of control we saw in the reverse fixture, and it will be a game of fine margins, with some of the finest fine margin players in the world on the other team. Comedy gulp. I need and I want Arteta to be brave. I don't expect him to change systems, but I do want to see him try something different. We can't be passive, we have to react. Hang in there, Gooners. It's still in our hands. Just.